John, this is Ryan Sheffer, lead golf instructor at the Ranch at Laguna Beach, here with a video analysis capturing the focus points from today's lesson. Now what we have is a down the line view on the left and a chest on view on the right. Let's start off here by looking at the swing on the left. One of the big things that we worked on today during the lesson was trying to get the takeaway kind of dialed in. What we're going to see here as I draw this line up the shaft of the club is that as the club goes back, you can see the hands kind of working a little bit away from that line. Notice that they're moving kind of out this direction. That then causes the club to start to whip in kind of behind the hands, which can cause some hand activity as the club's coming down. It just makes it really consistent to control the inconsistent to control the club face. As we get up towards the top of the swing, we're in a pretty decent spot here. As we start down, we start to see a little bit of a hip slide. But the nice thing is it looks good on film in the sense that when you're sliding the hips, you kind of have to from where you were with the club to get the club to swing downward. Now it's parallel to that yellow line. You can see it's basically right on the yellow line here. And then as we come into impact, we end up hitting a pretty decent solid strike there. So some decent stuff going on in the swing. I actually like a lot of the motions that you're making. We're just trying to fine tune this just a little bit to make it a little bit more consistent for you for the long term. All right, now the second thing that we're going to look at here is the lateral motion that I was kind of talking about on the hips. So I'm going to have you kind of take a look at the right image here, and we're going to draw some lines kind of along your hip line here. Let's start this swing back. As we swing back, you're going to see that you really load into that right leg, which is not a bad thing. As we start down, now we get a lot of hip slide as we come through, and you can see that the hips start to get a little bit ahead of that line. It's not necessarily a bad motion. It's just causing it to where it's going to be hard, as I said earlier, it's going to be harder to time that. When you have a slide, you usually see golfers with more hand action through the strike than people who tend to rotate. One thing you do really well here, though, look how the shaft is in a straight line matching that yellow line on your left shoulder. So this was one of your better swings here. As we come in through the hit, you can see the weight kind of finishing up all on the left leg. So there's a lot of good things happening as far as the fact that you are moving forward, but what we want to work on again is trying to get that takeaway to where what you would feel is the hands kind of moving a little bit more inward. A great example of that inward hand motion is right here. This is a gentleman named Mac O'Grady, and what you'll see as he swings back is that the hands kind of work more in towards the body. You can see the club just tracking up that, so his hands look like they're very, very close to his thighs. The club then tracks up the yellow line, gets up towards the top, and as he starts down, you'll see the hands kind of get right back where the elbow is against kind of close to the body against the right side. And now the hands are going to work in 180 degrees kind of around the waistline. And you can see that there's very, very little face rotation here. You can see how the club face is staying very, very passive through that motion there. It's not rolling or anything like that. So that's the feel that we want to have as we're exiting the shot, is trying to hit some shots to what I told you to practice would be kind of starting from this position and trying to just feel that you unwind the body to the left, trying to strike the ball. Now you can do this with or without a ball, but you're trying to practice that feel so you have more club face control as you're coming through the shot. You won't hit as many hooks. Now this next video that I just pulled up is from Mac O'Grady again. This is him on a chest view, and you'll see a few changes here. You're going to notice that as he swings back, notice how his right hip, I'm going to start this over so you see a little bit of what I'm referring to. If we draw a line kind of right here through his right leg, notice how his right hip will actually move a little bit more inward from that, kind of looking almost like it's moving this direction. And then as he starts down, you're going to see this left leg kind of separate a little bit. The hips are pushing back. That's the hip depth. Remember we did a chair drill? And then he just simply unwinds everything as quick as he can through the shot. And you can see he's finishing kind of right up here on his left side. So that's the motion that we want to make. So a couple things to practice. As you can remember here, we're working on takeaway, trying to keep the hands a little bit closer towards the body with passive hands. The second thing is trying to feel that as we start the downswing, we're trying to create hip depth. That's just creating that hip rotation. And our third piece that you could practice kind of tying in with this would be some of those little half swings where you start at hip high, trying to just rotate across. The last area that we did work on today, we ended with driver swings, and what we were trying to feel was that you had a little bit more shoulder tilt at your address. All right, so if we kind of look at Mac here, we kind of use that image. You can see how his right shoulder looks like it's kind of slightly down. That's kind of the feeling you want here when you're hitting a driver which is, I believe, the club that he's using here. Actually, no, he's swinging an iron. It must probably be more of a longer iron, though. So he's got his right shoulder down, which is what we want to feel with the driver. That'll allow you to swing a little bit more up on the ball. So definitely some stuff for practice. Let me know how you play at Torrey Pines, and I look forward to working with you in the future.